Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy, and I want to talk about Alec Garland's A24 Civil War film and what's happening with this movie. I think it's really important that Vivek Ramaswamy see this film immediately, as even before its release, which I think it would be possible for him to do that. Many critics have seen it already. He's on the short list for vice president. I'm sure he could do something that a Hollywood critic can do, right? That he sees this immediately, and then he begins conversating with the American people about this film. And the reason why is, it is my humble opinion that A24's Civil War film is outrageously dangerous at this point. And the reason why is, I think there's a gaslighting campaign, in my humble opinion, there's a gaslighting campaign around it from three sources: Europe, Hollywood, and Hollywood critics, right? Which is the vast majority of critics, right? In my humble opinion. And so I think we need to start wrapping this film in truth. And this discussion is me trying to determine what the truth of this film is because I think there's what I'm certain of, in my humble opinion. In my humble opinion, I am positive that there's gaslighting surrounding this film, right? So what I want Vivek to do is get in, watch the film, and start the conversation, the political conversation, immediately. Because, all right, and the reason why is, I think this is absolutely a political film that has a very distinct agenda, and I think this is a political film. I think it's massively pro-left. And I think the goal of this film is to get people to vote for President Biden. That's my humble opinion on Civil War. And I am galled that Alex Garland, A24, Hollywood, and Hollywood critics are pretending this film is apolitical. All right. Now, with everything I just said, I want it to be very clear. I have not seen the film yet, right? And you're like, wait a second, Scott, you haven't seen the film yet and you're discussing it? Yeah, 100%, man. This is 2024. Are you kidding me? Right? There's already absolutely hundreds of not hundreds. There are probably 100 reviews on this film already, right? And so the discussion about the film has already started, and I've already watched multiple spoiler reviews on the film. So that's where we land, right? All right, and like, this is 2024. We're not going to wait to watch a movie before we discuss it. Like, the pace of how we live today is so much faster than that, right? All right, so let's jump into this. All right, so I was absolutely astounded. I couldn't believe, like, the statement of Alex Garland when this debuted at South by Southwest, that this was an apolitical film. I'm like, that's not possible, right? And so I want to explain to you why I think it's impossible for Alex Garland's A24 Civil War to be apolitical. All right. So what, and the reason why I care about this and why I'm talking about it is, this is outrageously dangerous, right? Like, we're in the middle of one of the most contentious, most dangerous elections in U.S. history, right? This one matters. People care a lot, right? And this is a European dropping a movie about an American Civil War months before we vote, right? And also, what Civil War film has ever been apolitical? There's never been an apolitical film about the Civil War ever before. So what I see happening is, this is like, if you're standing at the edge of the Grand Canyon and somebody walks up and says, hey, here's a red balloon from the birthday party I went to. I want you to run and jump out over that cliff. Just hold on to the balloon, and I assure you, it's gonna, like, lift you across the canyon. You'll just float away. And you're like, this thing is, barely tugging at the string. And I'm pretty sure if I jump, I'm gonna fall 120 feet, and I'm gonna hit the rock at the bottom, and I'm gonna die. Right? Like, the idea that this is apolitical, like, every piece of information about this film says this is 100% political. So let's talk about that information. All right. So first of all, this is not a Hollywood film. It's Hollywood Plus, right? So first of all, A24 is not a Hollywood movie studio. It's a international European movie studio, okay? And it's getting a release here in America. A24 releases their movies in America because they forge every movie they make in the Hollywood mold, right? Here's a good example of that, right? Who's the biggest star in India? Well, I read an article about him, right? He is so famous in India. There's like 1 billion people who watch his movie. He's so famous that people literally worship him there. They have shrines to an actor. It'd be like in America if there was somebody who worshiped Tom Cruise. And not a small amount, like hundreds of thousands, maybe low millions of people in India literally worship this celebrity, right? I've never seen a single one of his movies and I couldn't even tell you his name. I read the article like 3 years ago and like I couldn't even tell you his name. And I've never seen, like, if you don't make your movies in the Hollywood mold, Americans will not watch it. And Americans watch every A24 movie. So this is not a Hollywood movie, but this is a Hollywood molded film, right? Now, let's talk about Hollywood films. There's no possibility of an apolitical Hollywood film anymore, right? Like, Disney is quite famous right now for burning hundreds of millions of dollars, literally low billions of dollars, to continue to insult Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, Florida, conservatives, Republicans. They're burning money to preserve the right to go hard against Republicans, right? And they do it every day, and they're willing to sacrifice shows, movies, intellectual properties that are 100 years old. They're like, we will pay any price to jam a political message into every single show and movie we make. We will go to commercial war, right, with the U.S. government to continue to do this. Hollywood has no ability to make an apolitical film, right? And so if Hollywood can't go 5 minutes without, insulting Republicans, so if Hollywood can't do that, is there any group in the world who is more dedicated to whining, castigating, and insulting Republicans than Hollywood? Yes, a European director, right? That's Alex Garland, right? The only people in the world who are more dedicated to rolling hard against American Republicans are European artists. That's the only group in the world who has less possibility than Hollywood of making something apolitical, right? So basically, Hollywood has no ability to make an apolitical film, and the only people in the world who have even more of a difficult time than them would be European artists, which is exactly what Alex Garland and A24 are, right? So there's no evidence at all that this is an apolitical film, and then not only was there evidence, massive evidence in the Jesse Plemons in there, right? I know what you hire Jesse Plemons for. You hire him to play a Republican, right? And that's what he's there. He's there, and I already know. By the way, spoilers for the film right here, right? So every critic is saying the most terrifying scene in the entire film is Jesse Plemons, when he gets these journalists, right? So he gets these journalists, and he's like, hey, I'm going to say a bunch of mean things to scare you. And then he quickly shoots 2 of his prisoners because their skin isn't the same color as his skin. Right? That's a very strong, in my humble opinion, that is a extremely strong political message saying Republicans are horrible hate mongers. That's a strong political statement. The idea that it's apolitical is absurd, absolutely absurd, right? And so I am galled and incredibly frustrated that A24, Alex Garland, Hollywood, right, and Hollywood critics are all lining up to say this is an apolitical film. This is 100%, in my humble opinion, outrageously dyed-in-the-wool a political film, pro-left, and its entire agenda is to get Americans to vote left. Period. So I think it is my humble opinion that the reason this is happening, and the reason this gaslight campaign is happening, is because I think it could be highly effective. It could be highly effective, right? And I also want to be clear. A movie studio attempting to sway American votes in an American election, right, with a movie in an election year is completely acceptable and completely fine and legal according to our laws and our cultural rules. We are for liberty and freedom, not only in America, but we even encourage liberty and freedom everywhere else in the world. So we set up this structure where we would allow, some European director to make a movie about an American Civil War and release it months before. So he's not doing anything illegal. He's not doing anything that isn't acceptable. He is doing something that will make Republicans furious. Furious. This is going to whip out up the fury of the Republican base, in my humble opinion. And I think they're starting to lie about it because I think they see that, one, they want the votes for Biden, but they also don't want to pay the consequence for doing this, for attempting to sway a political election months before it happens. All right. So that's why I think this gaslight campaign, in my humble opinion, is occurring. So I think this absolutely is a gaslight campaign. And one strong hope we still have is that a charismatic, confident, intelligent Vivek Ramaswamy can see the film, start the discussion, right? And also encourage Republicans to see this as art and say, we need to find a peaceful, appropriate response, right? But I also think he should start to call out Alex Garland for what, in my opinion, is an outrageous lie. I think the idea that this movie is apolitical is an outrageous lie being propagated by, in my humble opinion, the idea, in my humble opinion, the statement that Alex Garland's A24 Civil War film is apolitical is an outrageous lie being propagated by A24, Hollywood, Alex Garland himself, Hollywood critics. Right? It is absurd. It is absurd. Absolutely outrageously absurd, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. I hope Vivek gets on this. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.